Hey guys.
Hey, man. King Asa, welcome.
Hello.
Caleb, I did not give you the video from last week for your minutes taking. What do we want to do with that? Let's figure that out sometime this week.
Yeah, I meant to ask you about it today, and I totally forgot. So
I think we could do if we want to have a YouTube channel, if you guys are ever thinking that we would go back to watching some of these old, if there's like a good piece shown that we wanted to go back to, it doesn't take any time since Zoom's already recording it. It literally would take you about 2 minutes to just upload it. So it might be something we could do. Try to start.
I think we should try to do that. That's what I was thinking. But
all right, so this week, let's make sure we get this one and last week and not get too far behind. If we get more than 30 days behind, you will be doing a very bad job with your taking because Zoom automatically deletes it from my archive. So we have 30 days to get this somewhere else other than Zoom.
Well, I'll try not to do my typical thing and wait until 29 days to figure things out.
Thank you.
So I'll try to get it this week.
If you'd like, I could even split them up into each individual people having individual videos and then have playlists by week.
Sounds fine to me. Y'all, I'll give Caleb the file. Y'all do what you think is best. While we're here and we're not quite started, since we're still waiting on Dr. Whitfield and maybe a couple others, I got an email yesterday from someone that is writing a newspaper article for the Gardner Webb newspaper, the online newspaper, and it's about how clubs are meeting during this weird pandemic time. And it came to me because the person who is heading up the newspaper is taking a class with my wife. And so mentioned it in that class, and my wife said, well, my husband does a composers club thing, and they said they met on Zoom a couple times, and they have a lot of people come in their Zoom thing. And so she sent me the email. What I thought I would do, if you guys are cool, is forward it to at least president, vice, and secretary. And the email is just a little Google link that would probably take 3 minutes to answer, but I thought that it might actually give us a little bit of publicity to get our name out there a little bit, because she's wanting to know how clubs are handling this. If we say, oh yeah, we're meeting on Zoom and we're showing compositions and whatnot, even if you just write one sentence or something, she'll probably quote you in the newspaper. And I don't know who reads those things, but probably it'll get outside of OMG a little bit. So something I'm going to forward that to y'all. So if one of y'all, or all three of you, but at least one of y'all maybe would at least do something that says, hey, yeah, we're meeting on Zoom, and we might get a little bit of, PR out of this. Or if the president wants to, delegate it to, the secretary or something, it's like, you have to answer this, answer it.
Were you able to find the official gavel for the meetings?
Me?
Well, whoever would do the gaveling, Carter, I suppose.
He needs
Yeah,
it
I
from
believe
Aaron.
he still has it. I think he was at school Friday, but I had to leave for something back home before I saw him. So
You could get one of these. Been using it for church services, so I just brought one home.
Well, you chose a good one.
Somebody already had the low C, so.
Nobody wants C.
Yeah, it's too generic. I should have got the F sharp. But D is such a happy note.
Well, geez, Roger, either it's a Zoom thing or my ears are on backwards, but that was D flat in my ears.
You are correct, sir.
Jeez, about ready to quit my day job.
I've played around with transposition on keyboards and stuff to where if I'm not paying attention, I'll get them wrong. But yeah.
Just sent that email to y'all. So sometime.
For the record, D flat's a happy note too.
Well, Mr. Lewis, are we going to wait any longer? I don't know about this Dr. Whitfield being late all the time thing. Maybe he teaches till 4. Does anybody know? I don't know. I'd say he'll be okay if I said, don't wait on him. Let's do it.
All right. Well, I guess we can commence. I know Aaron said he was going to show how to do the settings change online. So I guess I'll see if I can pull that up real quick. In the meantime, if anyone wants to pull up one of their pieces, you can do that as well.
I guess I'll pull up a little something I got. So how do I do the audio?
When you share screen, there's a box that says share computer sound. And even if you're muted, it will play the sound of whatever it is.
We hope.
Okay. This is just, I wrote this in like 30 minutes, and it's just something that I was messing around with. So yeah, I just thought it sounded cool. I mean, I even named the piece "Cool Song." I mean, with this, I thought I'd try to get more interesting with my piano parts since I'm not very good at piano, I guess.
Well,
And
Bishop,
try to-
regarding your piano parts, the thickness of your low left hand F sharp
Mhm.
minor, like so thick, this is a this is just a preference thing. A lot of composers would steer clear from those real thick triadic cluster from way low in your bass clef. If you want this sound, make sure you go on a real piano, not finale, and like really play your chords and make sure, okay, yeah, that's the thickness that I want. If it's not, talk to one of your piano friends and see, what would a pianist do if a pianist were making a chord that needed to sound, deep and loud, but not necessarily so thick that that F sharp and that A are so close together that it might sound a little bit like a wash. Like we might just get a thick blah, as opposed to a clear F sharp minor, chord to start your piece. Just a thought. You're already writing an instrument that's on the lowish end anyway, and now you're just even making it just very heavy with lots of low sounds. It may be what you want, but just make sure it is what you want by, actually testing it out before it goes to print. Can you play those 30-second notes in that last little lick?
On the bassoon? Yeah, I've played that. It's okay. I mean, it's not like normal, but it's not that hard either. I also have like another short little thing that I can show if we're still waiting on stuff.
Before you leave this one, one other small comment. If you do want to improve your keyboard writing and not necessarily just write things that you can play. This is we talked a little bit about this at another SCI meeting before. The tendency for us composers to write what fits what we can do for our instruments, only writing things that we can ourselves perform. There's a bigger world out there. And so you being gutsy and writing things for the keyboard, I like that you were writing things that, like I think, what did you say at the very beginning? Like, I'm trying to, get a little bit better, writing things that are a little bit harder. I like that. And I would challenge you to possibly mess around a little bit with a different inversion than just regular root position, closed, do, me, sol. So many of your triads, maybe not every one of them, but almost all of them are just your regular hand shape that you're used to. Pianists actually, believe it or not, don't use that a lot. It's just too close together. So again, maybe experiment with different inversions with your right hand hand shape and not just your block chord. Make sense?
Yeah, that kind of goes into the other piece I have, because I wanted to write like a piano piece that I could play myself and not have like to get Caleb to play it for me or anything. But I mean, right now, to me, it kind of sounds more like a warm-up than anything, because it's just super simple, same position, everything. But I just got this simple melody stuck in my head, so I decided to write it down and put some chords to it. So I really don't know where I'm gonna go with that. I don't even know if I'm gonna use that same melody. I just kind of like that chord progression, and that's the first melody that I came up with. But hopefully I can make it to where it's still interesting and it's at my skill level.
Well, if not on your other piece, but on this one, perhaps might be a place to experiment with not just, C, E, G in your hand as a chord, but, what other ways can you infer a C major chord with a little bit more spread out, just so you're at least, experimenting with it. It may not be that something that you want for this particular piece, but it would help instead of always having that triad, root, third, fifth, always in your hand together. Just if this one, maybe the other one, maybe neither, but at least, I don't know, it's a suggestion.
All right.
I couldn't quite find how to adjust the audio. You might be able to do it through the share screen, but online it's on the browser. It's kind of strange. Maybe when Aaron's around, he can show better. But for now, I think it's from whatever Bishop was doing was working decently, at least for today. So, all right, who's next?
Caleb, can you play your piece? Because I wasn't here last week, and everybody told me that it was good, so I want to hear it.
Didn't you have another one too, Caleb, that you were going to do?
Yeah, and I got another one that I can play. I can do that one I did last week, and I got 2 other ones as well that I was working on. So, do y'all want to hear the one I did last week again, or I can even just when we post the stuff on YouTube, you can check it out there.
Oh yeah, our YouTube videos, Bishop.
Yeah.
You can take advantage of watching it that way. That's a good idea.
So, I can show something still if no one else has anything. You see, last week I asked y'all to choose between 2. And I'm gonna do the same thing again. Because it didn't work last week, and I figure if first you don't succeed, try again. I have a piece that's an overture for orchestra, and I have a piece that is it's a choral piece. It's a choir, piano, organ, and string quartets. So anybody?
Overture.
Okay, I'll pull that one up. Okay, so that's working. Y'all can see that. Okay.
Yeah.
This MP3 I got here is not it has like 5 or 6 seconds of silence before it starts playing for some reason or another. I don't know, but unless something happened, it should work okay. Here it goes though. Maybe. that's it. It's not the. I want this to be a larger work overall, but that's what I've got. That's the beginning of it.
I love it.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah, you definitely when you got to the end, I was like, no, there has to be more to this. This is great.
Uh, I've already started working on some stuff afterwards, but see, I'm torn on what I want it to be. Because really the whole piece came from like a story that I had in my head, and I was thinking about it, and I thought about it a lot, and then I started coming up with that, the da 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 da, that whole thing, and that was kind of where this came out of. And I mean, part of me wants to be like some kind of like play or something, or it's kind of why I went for the whole term overture, like a play or an opera or something. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe it won't be anything. Maybe I won't ever do anything else with it, but we'll see.
I don't understand, Mr. Etchison. You mean like you're going to write the play? And this is the overture to the play that you're going to write?
I guess that's what it would be.
Nice.
It's a thought I have, and even to the point where like I was like making little themes or leitmotifs, whatever it was, for different things inside of it. Like this piano part here is like supposed to be for like this. The title's called A Witch. Currently, it's the tentative title because all my titles are awful. But this piano stuff right here is kind of like supposed to represent like the spell casting, and the main thing is supposed to represent the main key. I have like all this different stuff that's I'm trying to throw in there in case I ever wanted to do something with it. But it's just one of those things that like you have in your head, and you're not really sure if you like it, but you got to write it out on paper just to get out of your head. That's kind of how a lot of my stuff I write ends up being.
After doing so, did you end up liking it more once it was on paper?
I think so. I like some things more. I like the opening less than I did in my head, so maybe I need to change that some. The very beginning with the cello. I don't know. But I like this little section in the middle, the orchestral, big in the middle. I don't know. I like that even more than I did in my head. So
I guess it could be risky to thinking back at all the great pieces, the ones that give you on a spoon first notes. This is a very important moment right now. Listen, versus let's warm them up a little bit and wait until, and now the first theme, now that I got your attention, now's the theme. Not to say I don't like your ending. I need to listen to it, or your beginning rather. Not that I don't like it. I think it can work. There's some great pieces that just say, listen right now, da, 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 like here it is. But you also, I don't know, you can hide it and reveal it later. Frankly, I'm biased, of course, but I find your piano spell casting to be one of the more engaging parts. It was like, get that other like important material out of the way with the cello, get to the awesome spell casting part. Like this whole thing we're looking at right now is awesome.
My favorite part's probably the section right after the spell casting with all the big, orchestra and stuff. But that's probably because it took me the longest, so I had to, spend the most time listening to it and getting to know it better.
Can you show your second page a little?
Yeah, sure. I don't know what part you want to see. It's kind of hard to do orchestra because it's a big paper.
Am I crazy? But does the chime part have a very prominent fermata on a B flat and then a fortissimo A sharp following it?
It does. That's because I just didn't write it right, so I'll have to fix that. Yeah.
Well, right or not, I mean, I don't know. I just
Yeah, it's probably not what somebody would want to read.
they would get a laugh out of it if that's what you're going
Yeah,
for.
I guess I have plenty of time to figure out what it means in that whole measure. But yeah, it should probably be either the other one, first one should be A sharp, or the other one should be B flat. That would be a little.
Were your ideas that you already been messing around with that you referenced following this these last big chords? Are they fast tempoed?
Yeah, that's pretty fast tempo. It opens up with the whole 5/8 we saw. Is it 5/8? Yeah, this piano kind of like that, except for it's not with pianos, with the whole orchestra. Trying to do that with it.
But it starts moving after that. I mean, I just feel like
Yes.
it'd be a perfect place for it to get moving and go. Yeah.
So it's just. Actually, might be a little faster than that. I want to say. I don't remember. It's been a little while since I've worked on it. But kind of. I don't know. Maybe I'll never do anything else with this. Maybe I will. Who knows?
Oh no, you should. It's good. This has got a lot of promising ideas just in 2 pages.
And don't discount your opening. I think you could expand on that and make it part of the something is about to happen here feeling. You could, what you have, maybe instead of the cellos, put it in the basses, and da-da, and then something happens. And then you add in the cellos and you extend that melody a little bit, da-na-na, whatever you want to do to it, and something happens. And then a third time, and you bring in some more instruments, and then you slam into that piano thing.
Yeah, I like that. That's I already have more ideas about this than I've had in like months. This is very helpful.
Of course, that would also give you more melodic material to work with later if you just think about extending that melody and what might it do if it kept going or was repeated in a different way that gave it some progression.
Mm-hmm. Definitely something I'll think about. Maybe I'll try starting to work on the next part of this again. I don't know. It's see, I started adding in voices and singing to it, and whenever I do that in a piece of music, I generally start falling apart, not being able to get anything across anymore. Because,
What were they singing?
I don't remember. Something about with the witch hunter going to find them, or something cheesy like that.
But text that you wrote?
Yes, it is.
Oh, you're on your way. Maybe it's an overture, but it's an overture to some type of cantata or something that involves a choir and soloists and like an oratorio, but a not sacred oratorio. Some type of Halloween oratorio. This is great. This is so much promise. I would want to watch something like that. I don't know if that's been done before with choirs and soloists and whatnot, but singing about witch and witch hunting instead of always about Moses and Aaron and Jacob and all those others.
It's definitely a false. Glad y'all liked it. I can stop sharing now. Cool. So we get the Zoom thing figured out. Are we done trying to figure that out, or I don't remember what our consensus was.
Yeah, I was gonna wait on Aaron to see or email him about it, but today it's been a lot better than it was the last time, in my opinion. So
Yeah, for me too.
Also, welcome to Dr. Whitfield.
I had a lesson that went over.
Well, you should get on that person's teacher. Caleb, did you have something else? Or does anybody else have something?
I can show my thing if no one else has anything else. I don't want to take any time away if there's something else who has something to show.
Go ahead. I have a piece, but I'm going to have to save it till next week because if I try to play you finale, nothing will happen.
All right, so let me get it pulled up.
Bishop, you played yours through finale, didn't you? Yeah, that's so strange, Roger. That's so strange. Where how Zoom just picked up his audio, but then when you play yours, it just is blank. It's silent. That's so strange.
Okay, do y'all all see that? I assume. Okay,
It's warped.
it's warped.
Yeah, it's
There it is.
Okay,
now it's
cool.
good.
All right, I'm gonna have to minimize it again, so it might be warped again.
Oh, it's warped again.
All right, it'll come back up in just a second. Ignore my words; they're terrible. So yeah, that's that. Little context. I was this past 4th of July. It was just after I was at my grandmother's house for the 4th of July or whatever, and she, of course, as always, my brother and my parents, my grandmother started, getting into conversations about politics and stuff and everything, and it was a bit of a nightmare. And so I just, went to the piano and started playing out my feelings, and this was the chord progression that I played. So maybe it's a little, I don't know, cheesy, I don't know. But I had realized, over the past, couple weeks before that, how much I liked just to move from, the minor, raising the fifth a half step and making it into a major. So I decided to play around with that a little bit. I just finished it up this weekend, got it to the end.
There's an entire strain of theory, Caleb, that explains those moves, and it's helpful to explain some of the interesting later romantic Brahms and others that like these weird mediant relationships, and before long you're from C major to A flat to G sharp minor to these things that you're talking about. And so it's other folks have liked that too, enough to develop an entire theory about it. So if you're interested, the fellow's name's Riemann, a famous theorist, but he wrote a lot about that stuff. A cool progression.
Just out of curiosity, how's that spelled?
Riemann, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Whitfield. Isn't it Riemann? I'll show you it. I have some stuff that I can show you from my office. The entire theory is about how to change a triad. Like, what can you do if you change if it's a C major triad, you can change it to C sharp diminished, you can change it to C minor, or you can do the step down to E minor. It's like there's all these little things you can do. He categorizes them and develops this whole web of moves that you can make, and you followed a cycle through in your moves, but there are lots of different cycles, and so it's a cool little thing to experiment with.
I was about to cry. Like, listening to it, I was so close because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But then this is purely personal preference. That dissonance part, like right in the middle of the piece, I was gonna be real with you, I hate it. Like I like, the piece is amazing, but it just took me so hard out of the piece and the emotions I was feeling, that listening to the rest of it, it was different. It was a totally different feeling and different experience, which I think I could have had a better experience if that didn't happen. I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to dog you or anything, but because it's great. But that's just me.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it, and that's the part I'm still the most questionable about. It's way up here. Did I pass it? No, it's right up here. There it is. That section. It's first of all, it was a nightmare getting Finale to play it at all. You see, if you look up in the top left corner of that page there, little retardando. He doesn't play it at all. It started to play it, and then eventually it's apparently it was too much information for the computer to hold at once. The retardando and the articulations and I had a fermato over top of those notes and all this stuff, which I'm not really sure I wanted the fermato there anyways. I wasn't certain, but I might go back and add it anyways. But it would, every time it got to those last notes with the piano and the violin, it would choke them for some reason. And I don't understand why. It'd be dun 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 dun, and it wouldn't play out the full notes for some reason. I even put a tenuto on top of it, which that's still there, and it didn't change anything. So this whole part right here has been a nightmare. I'm not even sure if I like it to begin with.
Well, I want to ask you, I don't care about how Finale plays it back. I want to ask you, what's your goal for this? Bishop has a point that this is, it is strikingly different than what's surrounding. And so what were you thinking, and what's your goal there?
Well, that sound there that you hear, the dissonance there, is actually what I came up with before I even came up with chord progression, because it's all the notes that are in these 6 chords. That's what the chord progression is. And I came up with that, and I was like, oh, all these notes together make up these, I can make these 6 chords out of it. And I can also make some augmented chords and some other things. As far as just major and minor, I can do all that with just these notes, and that's where everything else came out of it. But so the idea is that this whole piece was going to be a prayer to an extent, and that this would be like the climax, and not to get too philosophical or spiritual, but this part right here is going to be the words that I was working on, which all my words are cheesy. I'm a terrible lyricist. But it was going to be Spirit, fill me again. And then that was it was a big thing. And, growing up in like Pentecostal churches and stuff where it's like such a big deal. And it's a thing I was, kind of struggling with personally. But that's just kind of, total manifestation of my irritation and frustration and all that. I'm not sure if I like it, especially not sure if I like that big old, E bass notes right afterwards. But for now, it's there. We'll see what I do with it. I guess my intention for this piece is to get. I don't know who would ever play this piece. The more I think about it, I don't know anyone.
Well, you're going to need, someone like Itzhak Stern on the first violin part, and you're going to need, Rostopovich on some of the cello parts. I got some people in mind for you that you might need. And that choir, the choir is okay. My little church choir can sing it until there. And then you're asking a lot for a church choir that wants to sing about Spirit, fill me again. And they have to sing that, which they could do it. They could learn it by rote. You could just rehearse that a lot. The rest of the choir parts are certainly doable. But
yeah, I wasn't totally sure about the playability of all the string parts either. But I don't know if something like that violin part there, I don't know how complicated that is on a violin, I'll be honest. I imagine it's not easy, but at the same time, I don't know how.
Professionals can play it certainly, and it's just a question of who are you going to have at your disposal for, just practically who might you have to play something like this. I know I was looking at some of the cello parts and I said, well, if I saw that and this is a church gig, I ain't playing that third beat or fourth beat. It's like, I can't do it. I just am not good enough. But, I don't know. But then again, nobody's telling you to write for, only for the things that you can play too. So it's just like this balancing act. You need to write things that you want to write. And if they can be played, they can. If they can't, they can't.
Some of the clashy notes notwithstanding, the section that you've been referring to, I think was on page 15, I think. I really liked what it did to the piece as far as just compositionally. We were taken up the hill. We were pulled up by this first section, and then everything just kind of chunked into place. And I really loved the E note. And then we're on the fun ride downhill to the end. But you sort of change that in that the piece ends it builds in and builds back out as it began, which is a really nice thing to do.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about trying to make things symmetrical with music and stuff. I'm not sure if I achieved that very well, but I think at least to some extent. I mean, a lot of the same stuff is repeated later, except for it's kind of trickling down instead of trickling up, like you were saying. So that's kind of the feel I was going for. The idea is that it begins and it builds this one big moment, and then it falls back down.
There was one place where there was, I mean, at the height of the complexity of the piece when a lot of things were going on, I thought it would be really nice if you could introduce a counter melody that rhythmically was completely independent of your chord progression, because up to this point, the length of your phrases and your melody has been completely defined within the, you know, couple of measures here, a couple of next measures of your chord progression, which I love the chord progression. I absolutely love stuff like this. But if you had an element that was larger than those chunks of measures, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
That rhythmically moved where other things didn't and stayed still when other things moved, and had an overall arc and progression that lasted your whole. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Y'all can excuse me for a moment. My computer's at 1%. I'm gonna grab a cord before it dies. Be right back.
That guy.
I think we can all agree that the first violin was the best part, though.
I wouldn't want to see it on the score. Yeesh.
It's just a scale pattern.
If that is totally what we composers would just say to the to the violinist who's looking at it. It's just a scale. Come on, don't you practice your scales?
So what? It's in the last quarter of an inch of the fretboard.
I think it's charging now. Cool. Well, I guess I'll stop sharing for something else y'all want to see or something. Okay.
Caleb, it vaguely reminded me of some Stravinsky in his neoclassic era, and he even set some psalms. He got kind of spiritual a little bit late and set some psalms, and he even set them in strong E minor. Not that your piece is technically in E minor for long, but it has a center of E minor. So does his. So I don't know. Maybe a listen to that. I can maybe show you that on next time I see you, and I don't know, steal a couple ideas from him. You're already in the key area ish, and you kind of have that driving sense, that build. He uses that a little too, so you know you might be able to steal a couple ideas.
I'm all about stealing ideas. It's kind of my thing.
And his too. So you're in good company.
It's comforting.
All right, Roger, did you say you had something?
I should save it for next week. I need to find out if Zoom is going to play on this. I can do a test Zoom meeting to another computer here and figure out what it's going to take to make it work. But I think if I just pulled it up, you wouldn't hear it, because that's what happened before.
Gotcha. All
But
right.
when all else fails, Roger, you can do what Caleb, weren't you just showing a PDF and then playing an MP3 along with it? I mean, don't fiddle too long with it, because that's exactly what would work just fine.
Yeah. Well, in that way, I can do screenshots of the because it's an orchestra score, and I've expanded it to anyway. It's really big. It would be good to take screenshots of important parts and go from one to the other.
All right. Well, I think that'll wrap things up for the day then.
Cool. See y'all. Good meeting.
Thank you, Jen.
See ya.